the conversation that you were having on your podcast was, why should men should forgive women's past promiscuity? But then you were also like, well, okay, what are your standards? So you want a guy who makes over 100K a year, right?
Yeah. So
were there other things like height, other things that they wanted in the man?
Yeah, they wanted men that were obviously taller.
Do you agree with that?
So I literally looked at one of them and I was like, so if a man was working at McDonald's and he treated you perfectly the way you wanted him to,
I would not date him.
And that's what she said too.
That
I literally said,
you can't even get you. Where are you gonna?
Everything.
Can I ask?
Where the hell? What is he supposed to give me?
Loves you.
What is he supposed to give me if he works at McDonald's?
He gives you the attention.
Go get a better education and grow
Hold on a
up.
second. So you're quite brazen. Yeah, well, looks like it. You're quite brazenly.
Looks doesn't define
when I'm
education,
speaking, it's best that your
though.
face stops moving. So when you're judging a man based on his income,
He said,
What did you just say?
Just stop
I said when
interrupting,
I'm
let him
speaking,
talk.
stop talking.
Okay.
Good. Okay. So
Hey,
when you're
Cherokee, once
judging a man quite brazenly and quite actually disrespectfully because of the income that he earns, perhaps he doesn't have an intellectual aptitude, but he's a good person and he'd treat you really well. As somebody who is a prostitute, what is your standard that makes you so much better than him?
I have like much more than just a prostitution as a job, though.
Like I said, as somebody who is a prostitute, what is your standard that makes you so much better than him?
So
Nothing,
McDonald's is
but-
worse than being a prostitute?
Yeah, but I'm not a prostitute. I'm a sugar baby.
You have sex with people for money. You're having sex with 10 people at the same time for money. As a prostitute, what makes you better than that man?
I'm not saying I'm better than him,
Okay,
but
well,
I'm
you just
saying
judged him
I
and you
wouldn't
said-
date somebody. Like, just like men won't date prostitutes.
You scoffed at the idea of a man working at McDonald's, though.
Yeah, because I would not date. I would wonder why he's working at McDonald's.
McDonald's
And do you-
actually has a
do you
really
think
high
that
minimum wage.
men-
No, they don't.
Do you think that
They
most...
They do now.
No, they don't. They pay
They
like
changed
what?
it.
Like,
almost set 15.
Well, I
that's
think
not
that-
a lot of money.
Aren't they changing like the minimum wage for fast food workers in California to like...
Yeah, it's
Is
like
it
$20
20?
an
But that's
hour,
like
I mean,
California,
yeah.
though.
But you live in California.
No, I don't. I live in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But
yeah.
so the way you feel about the guy who works at McDonald's,
Yeah.
that's the way men feel.
That's fine. Everybody
about
can have
what
their own
you
opinion.
do.
And that's totally
But
fine.
their
Okay.
opinion would be
But
more
most-
logical than McDonald's.
Sure.
Or
That's
McDonald's.
fine.
Yeah.
Definitely different too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you want to continue on? So you were saying like...
Yeah, so the first podcast, I think another reason why they were mad is because when we were talking about it, we first talked about the body count, and then we talked about men making less than 100K, then we talked about something else. But when I edit it in the same title, like why should a man accept your, etc.
That's
and,
fair.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah.
They didn't like the title?
They didn't like the title at all.
They asked
It
you
was
to change it?
They begged me to change it, but we literally had meetings prior, like on what we were going to talk about. And gosh, what was I going to say? So one of them, she started saying that she wants a man that makes 100K, but then she changed it. And she's like, actually, no, he needs to make more than a 400K. I'm like, 400K?
What?
And
I love that.
I was just, it's sad to me because there are so many good men out there who are just...
400K is the 1%.
Yeah.
Right? That's the 1%.
I believe
market.
that's above the 1%.
Yeah,
Can I
it's
ask
above.
something? What do these girls do, for example? Let's
Yeah.
say you date an entrepreneur, right, who makes $1 million a year, and he's making that money for 2-3 years, everything's great, but then he loses it all. What do you think those girls would do then? And it's a for real question as an entrepreneur. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to,
It's a
but
good
what
question.
would they do? I'm
Something that we
curious.
think
I
about as
think-
risk takers.
Well, yeah, for real.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate question. Like, do they bail when the money dries up, or what
That's
happens?
a good question. I would love to ask them that, but I think one of them would actually probably leave because the way she was so on getting a man that makes over 100K. I think she would actually leave because at that time she was an engineer herself, so she really just had her bar set way too high. I feel like
And what if she leaves and then he 10x's and he makes 50 million the next year?
Right, and
Will
that's
she
what I
come
was
back then?
telling them. That's what I was telling them. Like, you can grow with your man.
For real.
Absolutely.
There's
And if it makes you feel better, the only 2 girlfriends that I had, 2 5-year relationships, both supported me when I started each business. Each
Yeah.
business went on to make 7 figures. I lost it all, but we separated before that. And then the second one was with me when I built it all back up again.
Yeah.
So it's like
then
loyalty. I think loyalty is what this whole market is missing, to be honest.
And then just giving them a space to grow and like giving them
For
that
real.
peace and that security as well, because men need that feeling as well. And a lot of females are missing out on that kind of relationship because they're so fixated on
Being in the winner circle.
Yeah, to me it's absolutely psychotic for females who think like that. It doesn't make sense because it's not logical at all.
Yeah, I want
So-
your opinion on this.
If your friends were sitting here, what do you think they would say if they were asked the question what they brought to the table to be able to earn a man like that?
I think I did ask them that. I think the main one that was talking, I think she just kept saying, well, I'm an engineer. I make over 100K, so I need a man who makes about the same amount of income a year. Yeah. I can't remember.
But then at the same time, that's really bizarre because
Yeah.
first of all, income for a woman is not generally something that men particularly value.
Right.
Like, I mean, some men aspire to have a woman that is driven by something, of course, but their income is not necessarily a factor in
And that's
driving
why
their
men date
attraction
down.
for them.
Men date down, and
Some women date
some
up.
females, some females just don't believe in that. They just they feel like they're the prize.
Yeah. And at the same time, it is really funny because she says in the same breath that she wants somebody that makes 400K or more, but she makes 100K and wants somebody that makes equivalent to that. That's 4x that.
You know what's hilarious? Like towards the end, she's like, "Oh, dating is just so hard." I'm like, "Well, I really wonder why."
Yeah, right.
I really wonder
right?
why.
I'm curious what her reason was for changing her answer from 100K to 400K. Was it simply, did she say for like luxurious reasons, or did she want to have a lot of kids, start a family with this person, or what was the reason?
I think toward when the conversation just got more heated, or she felt like more, like in the hot spot, she just changed it. She was like, actually, you know what, 400K.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You guys are from Texas, correct?
Level up.
Yes, not born and raised. I'm from Orlando.
Okay, but you guys live in Texas currently. These girls do as well.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Well, they just moved here a year ago. Well, not here, but Dallas. Yeah.
Well, theoretically, you could have a pretty decent living on $200,000 a year in a lot of places in Texas.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. I don't know
Yeah.
where you'd need
Oh yeah,
$500,000.
Yeah.
But
You're a millionaire.
That was
in
the
Texas
last.
on that money.
yeah.
I think that was the last time I would ever bring people on because I really liked them. The first two girls that I had on my podcast, and I was just kind of sad and shocked. Like, wow, you're really not going to talk to me because of things that we talked about for an hour?
Right.
Yeah, but you've got to
We
have
agreed
people
on?
on you disagree with. That's why this works. Do you
And
know
that's
I mean?
what I told them too.
You got to
I'm
push
like,
yourself to get more people on that you don't agree with. To be honest.
that's what we were. So when they were mad about the title, I'm like, this is a great opportunity to show people or tell people what you think about certain topics and stuff like that. But a lot of people just can't take being the one being like yelled at, or,
Criticized.
Yeah.
It's
They
very
just can't-
interesting.
If this
Yeah.
is what you're doing for content, though, I would say don't back off and don't get self-conscious because, like I'm sure Brian will be able to tell you, you'd be able to say as well, you cannot please everyone. And half of my videos are literally titled like "Feminists Destroyed with Facts and Logic." so I mean, it's you're meant to draw in an audience, and there is an element of clickbait, and there is an element of drama that you have to have in your podcast, or else you're just vanilla and boring. So
Yeah, I think like females, they don't want to be submissive anymore because I'm very submissive. So I don't think they want to be submissive anymore because they see it as a sign of weakness, or they see it as oh, I can't be independent anymore, which is not true at all. Like I'm an entrepreneur, but I still want, like, the people in the back end are all men. Like, I'm not going to make a big decision without going to my mentors. But some of these females don't. They're like, I don't need that. I can just make those decisions. And
I find that women in general tend to be very sensitive to criticism, whereas men tend to be far more accepting when it comes to being criticized. And I mean, you take it with a pinch of salt, but you also take it in the sense to like work on yourself and better yourself. And women have a really, really difficult time doing that, I find, a lot of the times.
Yeah.